Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources.
Welcome to Helping Seniors Television. I'm Kerry Fink, and this is the program that's designed to educate, inform, and connect you to resources that are going to make a difference on your own aging journey. We're 100% local to Brevard, nonprofit. We have no reason to exist other than to serve seniors and their families here in Brevard County. Joe Steckler, who organized our group, he is a retired Navy captain. He got a love for all things seniors by his last assignment in the Navy. He was in charge of the Navy's retirement home in Gulfport, Mississippi. And I think it gave him a lifelong passion for helping seniors. And so when he and his wife, Terry, moved to Satellite Beach here on the Space Coast with the idea of retiring, Joe just couldn't stay retired. So he gets started with the Brevard Alzheimer's Association, gets that rolling because he felt there was a need in our community to have some resources for families that were dealing with cognitive challenges. And so he created Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation. They call them Joe's Clubs today. We have 3 of them in the county, all around the county, that are designed to be respite havens for caregivers and also wonderful places for our seniors and the people that need some extra help as wonderful adult daycare centers. Joe retired from that. I think it was 2008. I met him in 2010 when he was beginning the work of helping seniors. And he said, I learned a lot in Brevard Alzheimer's. He said, I learned many families are challenged with memory issues, but he said every family does run into aging issues. And he said, I need to create a nonprofit that is going to serve the population that knows where resources exist locally to be able to help seniors navigate where the things that they might run into along the way. So Helping Seniors now for 15 years has operated the Senior Information Helpline. It's a free call. I'm going to give that number. So if you want to grab a pen and jot it down, it's 321-473-7770. I'm going to say it again in just a moment to give you a chance to grab something to jot it down on. But last year, we took over 4,000 calls, and it was about everything: medical, legal, financial, transportation, you name it. We've probably taken a call on it. And that's what we're here to do: provide senior navigation, help people get there. So that number again, 321-473-7770. And Joe was a tremendous wealth of information about all things seniors. In fact, we were talking about this in a very recent session that we did at the Senior Resource Center called the Knowledge College for Aging. And Joe originally had pulled together 3 professionals that he felt were very important in developing an aging plan. One is an elder law attorney, because there are many things that an elder law attorney can do that are very, very crucial to your success, not only in your own senior years, but especially to be sure that if you have an estate plan or you have desires for how things are going to go at a certain point in time, you need to have all that paperwork in place. The second person that he brought up was a financial advisor, and that's what's going to be the focus of our show today. The third person that he brought up, might be surprising to you, is a person that might be called a funeral director or a pre-needs manager, but it's basically the person who deals with end-of-life issues. And his point was, if you want to make things good for you, for your family, and for those that come after you, do this planning early. And so kind of with that, I'm really excited that we get to talk about something called longevity planning with a great friend of the Helping Seniors organization. Her name is Tisha Hill. She is a financial advisor. She works with a company called Raymond James, but she also is very close to us because she volunteers her time as a treasurer for Helping Seniors of Brevard. Welcome, Tisha.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I love bragging on all these wonderful initials that you have behind your name, because I think it speaks to the fact that you've been doing this collectively for 30 plus years now. And there's one that says wealth management or something. Talk about those for just a second, just so we get the lay of the land here.
Sure. So as a financial advisor, there's certain licenses you have to be able to call yourself an advisor. So the securities licenses are general, and insurance licenses. I am kind of a knowledge nerd, so I like to test and educate myself. So I am a wealth management specialist. I believe I got that one about 20 something years ago. And then about 7-8 years ago, the AAMS is accredited asset management specialist. So basically that just helps with portfolio building and estate planning and all that kind of, and all those things. But it also helps because we are a fiduciary. So there's certain things that you have to have in order to be able to call yourself that.
I think that's maybe a really important part of this is that I think when you take the time to go above and beyond and you earn these designations, it shows, first of all, that you have a commitment to the subject matter that you're in. We talk about this a lot in the Helping Seniors world because we're always looking for great people that we can refer our callers to that we know have really taken the time to be concerned with seniors first and foremost. I use this example, like, for example, we have a lady that we work together with in our Joe Senior Resource Center, which is what we call our office space here in Melbourne, Florida. And she takes a designation called the Senior Real Estate Specialist. Mm-hmm. And I think this statistic is only 2% of all real estate agents in the country take the time to become that extra schooling so they know how to work with seniors. And I think it's important if you're going to have the opportunity to sit down with people that you have really worked at being the best that you can possibly be. And so one of the topics I said to Tisha, I said, could we talk a little bit about retirement planning? Your whole life, people talk to you about planning. Like when you're a kid in school, the grownups are always like, what are you going to be when you grow up? Right. And then when you are younger and maybe you're involved in a family, they're always asking you like, well, are you going to send your kids to college? How are you going to plan for your retirement? They're always asking your plan. Then when you're retired, you think, well, I've done all my planning. But that's when Joe always talked about you have to have an aging plan. Mm-hmm. We euphemistically call it getting your ducks in a row because what you don't know can hurt you. And there's some big things that you can run into along the way. And I remember talking with Joe. I said, what do you mean by aging plan? He said, yeah, it's where you have sort of an organized list of the things you want to do given whatever situations you might face. I said, you mean a little bit like a hurricane plan. We who live in Florida, we understand we do not want a hurricane. What we do want is to know what we would do if they told us one was coming our way. One of the things that you must be able to comment on is people come to you with their financial hopes and dreams and say, we have certain goals and things like that. And one of the jobs that I imagine must be important to you is helping them find the right way to achieve those goals given with the resources they have to work with. Absolutely.
So the early stages, we call that the accumulation phase. That's when you're still working. You probably have a family. You potentially want to buy a home. So those are the years where we are able to accumulate assets and hopefully save. Unfortunately, the majority of people that do finally speak to a financial advisor, either they've tried doing it themselves or they don't feel like they started early enough. Right. I always tell people it's never too late. As long as you're willing to invest early, if you can, but if early and often is best. Yeah. Invest, save, at least build up so that you can invest. So once you do get to the retirement phase, if you haven't worked with an advisor, it's very important to have someone in your corner just for the purpose of maybe bringing up things you may not have thought about, whether it's documentation or beneficiaries. It's amazing how people come to me and they have to actually, maybe they don't have kids or their families are estranged. There's all sorts of different situations. They don't know who they're going to leave their assets to. So they have to think about it for a while. So unfortunately, if you don't list a beneficiary, the state gets it.
Yeah, I was thinking I had a elder law attorney once say, the government has a plan for you. If you don't have a plan, it just may not be the plan you have in mind.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just things that you may not have thought about on your own. But it's also really important just because you have somebody in your corner, somebody that is, like you said, gone through the lengths to study, to learn, to get those accreditations. If you are working with an advisor and you're approaching retirement or in retirement, it's super important to be able to have a plan in place so that you know how you want your money spent. Right. You know where it's coming from, but you have a way to make it last because we are living longer. potentially 30 years or more in retirement, depending on when you retire.
I think that's one of the points that I'm glad you bring this up, because it's really a point that I wanted us to get into. So Joe called it making an aging plan. We call it euphemistically getting your ducks in a row. It just sounds friendlier. It sounds a little bit amusing. Everybody kind of gets a picture in the head like, yeah, you're right. I got to get my ducks in a row.
Right.
And I've come up with a couple of corollaries that go with that. And these are going to be very important as we talk about this today. Number one, we always tell people, don't try this on your own.
Right.
Because there's so many nuances and I would call them potholes, and you can get mired in there and take yourself completely off the track. I know that we've talked so much with elder law attorneys, and they can tell us horror story after horror story where somebody tried to do their own documents, and at the moment it needed to work, there wasn't a chance to do a do-over, and now something that might have been a few $100s could literally become $100,000 to get it moved through the court system the right way. It's just incredible. So don't try this on your own. But the second thing is, don't put this off, because so many problems or things that we talk about with aging, the earlier you get started, the better it is. And I like what you said. In the perfect world, everybody gets started early. But I like what you said, because it gives us hope, is that it doesn't matter. It does matter if you can start early. It's good. Sure. But even if you didn't start early, get started, right?
Right.
Am I saying that right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I usually tell people doing something's better than doing nothing.
Right.
It isn't philosophical, but it's true, because as long as you're doing something, if you can contribute $25, $50 a month to a retirement account, or $100 a month, and it changes. And I always tell people too, once they see it start to accumulate a little bit, they're like, I have a few extra dollars I can add to that.
Yeah.
So it's amazing once you start to see it. And then especially if you build up a little bit of a lump sum and you can invest it and you see it grow, it's really exciting to come alongside people and help them to achieve that.
So one of the things you taught me a term, you said, I didn't coin this term. I said, we use it a lot now in the industry, but I said, I really love this, because Joe calls it an aging plan, which I always would say to Joe, I says, well, it sounds like I ought to get like a 3-ring binder, some graph paper, a bunch of protractors, and start like this college level thing. And it sounds a little intimidating, getting your ducks in a row, maybe a little too simplistic, but I like what you guys call it. You call it longevity planning. Right. And that's become a term, I guess, that's now being used in the financial industry, right?
It is more so, especially because we are living longer. Yeah. Our funds have to last us more, have to last us longer in retirement. And it is longevity, and it isn't just about finance. So it includes your health, it includes your home, it includes family, it includes travel. It's all the things that make you you and make you unique. So longevity can incorporate all of those things. And that's what I've enjoyed so much about being part of helping seniors the last couple of years, is the resources that I've been able to tap into and the partners that I've learned in the industry, because obviously I'm in finance and that's my niche, but I've lived on the Space Coast my entire adult life, and I like to be able to connect people. And a lot of my clients will come to me with very random things because they know I'm a problem solver. And so if I don't know the answer, I'm going to find someone that can. I'm going to find out. So so it's really important to, have somebody that's in your corner in all aspects of longevity planning, but specifically for finance, you had said something earlier. So we used to have binders. That used to be how it was when I started in the 90s. We had a 3-ring binder. We didn't have computers. Software and technology has come such a long way now. It's really, I don't know if it's made our job easier, because we still have a lot of planning, a lot of thinking, but it's definitely helped to consolidate things and to put all the information that we can gather from an hour and a half, 2-hour conversation into software and massage it so that we can figure out different outcomes. We actually there's something called a Monte Carlo simulation. So when you put everything into this planning software, it will spit out 1,000 scenarios.
Wow.
in an instant. And it will tell you the best case to the worst case. Wow. And it's been a game changer for the industry, because you can see what the things you need to tweak are, whether it's saving more, whether it's, putting certain amount here or just making random changes, maybe not random, but maybe making specific changes to your plan. And another part of being involved with an advisor is communication. I always say that once the plan is in place, consistent communication is crucial because life happens and things change. And as long as we're communicating and we know that, we can tweak your plan so that it goes along with what's happening in your life too.
Now, I want to ask you a question about this because we were talking about, in general, one of our reasons to be, one of the reasons we do helping seniors is, I think about this. Joe was really visionary 15 years ago to create helping seniors because the need for what we do as a charity has only exploded since the day Joe saw the need for this. And I say that for three reasons. Well, first of all, here in Brevard County, 1 in 4 of us is over the age of 65. So that means that's a very significant number of seniors who live in Brevard County. But even by ARP definition, where they say 50 is you're a senior and send you a card, there's 1 in 2 of us here in Brevard County. So there was an awful lot of seniors. But in those 15 years since Joe created Helping Seniors of Brevard, so we get more and more seniors because, number one, just with the population, more and more people are turning 65. But number two, to the point that you were just addressing about longevity, people are living much, much longer. It's not unusual to find somebody in their upper 90s or early hundreds now. No. It used to be like a really unique thing. Right. But with medical advances and things like that, people are really living quite full lives. But then the third thing is we live in Florida and it seems like everybody wants to come to Florida. So we've seen such a population growth. And the reason I'm bringing that up is I wanted to ask you a little bit about when you, as a financial planner, are sitting down with people to help them navigate and build out a plan. I wanted to ask this question. How rich do you have to be before it makes sense to sit down with a financial planner? I don't know, most of the time, I've had this conversation with elder law attorneys. They talk often at times it may be good to put, your house into a trust or things like that. And I remember thinking like, oh, that sounds like for all the movie stars and the super rich people that say, no, if you have a house and a bank account, it might be something we got to talk about. And so I think there's probably a misperception out there about who needs a financial advisor. Can you talk a little bit about that? Absolutely.
That is definitely a misperception. So again, I encourage people, invest early, invest often if you can. The number one place to go to is obviously while you're working is a 401k. If your employer offers one and they match, it's free money. Why wouldn't you take that? Yeah. So at least put in enough to get, usually it's 3% is the match. So because when people are working, their 401k plan is usually through their employer, they don't feel the need to work with an advisor. So I specifically, and I can't speak for all advisors, I do a free consultation the first time. I want to get to know the person and see if I can add any value. And if I can't, I will tell them, you're either on the right track, keep doing what you're doing. When you get closer to retirement, because that may be what they have is in their 401k, and you can't touch it till you're retired. A lot of my clients are business owners and they don't have 401ks. So they are responsible for all of their, everything that goes on with their business, including their healthcare benefits and their employees and their retirement. Yeah. Business owners are famous for not taking care of themselves. They put all their money back into their business. And I have to remind them, unless you want to sell your business and use that as a retirement, potentially, if you can sell it, if it's a business you can sell, you need to start thinking about saving and investing so that you have retirement. So no, you don't have to be rich, whatever that, your idea of rich is. You have to know where to start. Yeah. And that's where I think I add value, because I can kind of give you an idea where you are, where you've been, where you want to be, and how we're going to get there. So it's having that plan is invaluable.
Yeah. And again, we kind of come back to this whole thing about don't try this on your own. You and I were having a conversation earlier today where you were sharing in a group session about the fact that, you were working with an individual who had been, quote, playing the stock market or whatever, something like that. And it was really creating a challenge because things that go up can also go down. And that's one of the challenges. You could maybe say, I want to retire, but am I really at a point where I can?
I think the biggest difference working with an advisor rather than doing it yourself is we take the emotion out of it because it's scary. It is when it comes to your health or it comes to your money, we're very emotional just by nature. When you work with an advisor, you have a sounding board to bounce your concerns off of. obviously the markets have been volatile. If you've been in the market or if you're watching the news, you know it's been the last, really the last 5 years. But we get spoiled and it looks like it's going to just keep going up forever. And then the first quarter of this year happens. So if you're doing it on your own, you might panic and sell.
Yeah.
And the worst thing you can do is sell when you're down, because now you are locking in those losses. If you have an advisor to talk to you and show you that we have charts upon charts of showing the history of the market, of all the different events that made the market go down, because people do trade on emotion. So if you can take the emotion out of it, and I try to tell people, let me worry about it for you, because I do, and not worry, but it's obviously always on my mind. And it's a concern. And when you're managing other people's money, you obviously, hopefully, are concerned about it. So I want to take that stress. I want to worry for you. And so I think that's the main difference working with someone, is having someone in your corner, someone to take the emotion out of it for you, and someone to talk you through it, through those tough times when it's not all just rosy, when it's just going up and you can see the profits. Yeah.
Well, in good times, it's easy. Everybody can manage themselves. That's when it gets a little trickier. But I wanted to ask the question too, then, like for a person that might say, well, I have always kind of done this on my own. I'm either in my 401k or I am a business owner. I guess I'm maybe putting words in your mouth, but it seems like it would probably behoove them to sit down and talk with somebody with the kind of experience that you have, to just, even if it's nothing other than getting a look over the shoulder to say, am I going in the right direction, or what am I missing? Or is there something else I should be doing here?
Well, I have another perfect example for you. I had a gentleman come to me 6 years ago, and we had a great meeting. We met for about an hour and a half. He specifically looked up a female advisor, which only about 16% of the industry are women advisors, because women tend to outlive men, and he wanted someone that he could work with so that if he does pass before his wife, she would be comfortable. Very sweet. However, he had been a financial advisor back in the day. He still enjoyed doing it, and he wasn't quite ready to give up the reins yet. So we had a couple of conversations. Time goes on, time passed, and he called me last week because he's now 91.
Wow.
And he's concerned about his cognitive ability to continue making these decisions. And he wants someone that is in his corner as a sounding board, maybe not making all of the decisions anymore. He still wants to be involved, but not nearly as much as he was. Healthy as can be, but he doesn't want to do it all on his own anymore. And so just having someone there that goes along life with you. I may not have been there the last 6 years, but now that he's aged and he's realizing his memory isn't what it once was, and maybe his decision-making isn't what it once was. And I will say, you mentioned all of the seniors in Florida. This is my home. I graduated Palm Bay High in 1990, so all I know is the Space Coast. And I'm very much a part of the community, and I just love it here. So being involved with the seniors that are here and getting to be a part of that. My mom still lives here, so it's great. But unfortunately, the elderly are very taken advantage of. And again, unfortunately, we do a lot of CE every year, and we do a lot of fraud prevention. And unfortunately, the majority of people that are taken advantage of are close to them. They're either a family member or a caregiver.
Well, I was just going to add that to the equation, or at least to hypothecate, because I would think that's one of the beneficials of having a professional financial advisor, because you're going to kind of try to do as much as you can to keep guardrails around anything that's going on. I know we just, as helping seniors, we've been involved in a project we call Scam Jam for exactly that same reason, that seniors seem to be always targeted in a lot of these scams. And if you don't have the proper help, this is why we say, don't try this on your own. You're much more likely to get taken advantage of. So one of the things that I thought was interesting, you said only 16% of financial advisors are ladies. Wow. Yes. So I guess that means that you probably find that you have a lot of female clients from the standpoint that there's probably a comfort level and things like that work well.
Yes, which is why I decided to do this. I was working with other advisors for years. I have been with Raymond James for almost 23 years. It's a great company based right here in Florida. But again, there's a lot of widows out there because women are living longer and they are more comfortable. I think women just kind of speak a different language, especially when it comes to finance in a lot of ways. So they do tend to be more comfortable. Not to say that there aren't some fantastic men advisors out there and these, they take care of their female advisors great. But some of them just, especially once their husbands do pass, they're just more comfortable working with a female advisor. So that's kind of my soft spot. Just kind of helping them through it. And a lot of times they're not involved in the finances, especially that generation.
Right.
So it's scary for them. And it's just nice to be able to, even if they weren't involved, they knew who I was. We've met, we've talked. The husband maybe handled all the finances, but when he passes, she knows that she's going to be taken care of now because he trusted me.
Yeah.
So
we're talking with Tisha Hill with Raymond James. So if somebody wanted to give a call and say, okay, I would like to hear a little bit more or see, here's my story. What could you do to help me? How do people get in touch with you? What's a good way to get the ball rolling?
Well, first of all, I have a website and it's very easy. It's tishahill.com.
Okay.
It is a Raymond James website, but I have a domain just to make it easy because it's very long. So it's tishahill.com and my bio is on there, my information and all that, my contact information, but I can give a phone number for my office. It's 321-253-7914. That's our office line. My assistant's name is Tiffany. She's wonderful. She's been my assistant for about 5 years. And I'm not 5 minutes from here, right up on US 1, just north of NASA in the Marina Towers building.
Well, thank you, Tisha Hill, for giving us a chance to talk a little bit about what a financial advisor can do to help. And I really encourage you to take a good look and see that you're getting that part. It's really one of those 3 legs on that retirement stool that you want to talk about: the elder law attorney, the financial advisor, and then make sure if you want a good plan for your family that you've also looked at some pre-need kind of things as well.
Absolutely.
That's the time we have for Helping Seniors Radio and TV today. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode.
I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses, and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.